Today in the Great Lakes Geek Show, we're looking at my first portable computer, the TRS80 Model 100, way ahead of its time. Okay, I want to show you one of my first computers and my first portable, and really the easiest way that a lot of people first got online. This is this cool case. See by my hand the size of it. Let's open it up. Yep. It's the Radio Shack TRS80 Model 100 portable computer, and it was fantastic. Okay, this good old TRS80 Model 100, of course TRS stood for Tandy Radio Shack. We called it different things, but Tandy Radio Shack TRS80 Model 100. It was introduced in 1983, and it, it's notebook size, as you can see, and kind of ahead of its time when you saw the luggables and all that were out there. At the same time, it had a keyboard built in, a liquid crystal display. You could run it on 4 alkaline batteries or an AC power adapter. And let's see, let's flip it over here a second. It's got a Intel 80C85 processor. It's got 32 kilobytes in RAM, and the RAM, when you turn it on, it's instant on, and some applications are loaded right there. It's instant on, stay on, and that was pretty cool. That's 32K. And then you could get, pry this open, in here, hang on, the screwdriver, in here you could add to the RAM. You could have 8. Here you could add to the RAM. Here you could have 8, 16, 24, or 32K. That's kilobytes of static RAM. So you have these modules here. You could plug in an 8 kilobyte RAM chip. Doesn't sound like a lot, but you could do a lot of things. Here's where you had you could put the 4 batteries. That over there. Now if you look at the side, okay, here's the front. And you can see there's function keys here, F1 through F8, then there's a paste, label, print, and a combination pause and break, and then the 4 arrow keys there. So you got F1, F2, F3, F4, all programmable. F1 through F8, then the function keys, paste, label, print, pause, and the arrow keys. Then you have a pretty standard keyboard, good size keyboard, and it had a good feeling, if I remember. It's been a while. If we look on the side, here, it's kind of ahead of its time. It had a port for a barcode wand. So this is truly portable. If you had it in the shop, plant floor or something, you could plug a barcode wand into this, and that's pretty sharp. Nothing on the front, and this side is power on off, and this display setting for the brightness contrast of the display. I remember having problems. Sometimes you turn it on, think you didn't have power, and it's just that this wheel was the wrong way. There's your AC adapter. On the back, of course, the reset button when the ROM went crazy. This RS-232C used for serial stuff. It could be serial modem or other serial devices, serial printer. We used to use RS-232Cs all the time for serial devices. It also had a printer port built in, a jack for a phone modem, and I think I have one of those here, and a jack for the cassette port. And that's how we loaded stuff. If you didn't want to type it in, you didn't have much storage here, so you would load it, type in your program, save it to a cassette, and then load it from a cassette hopefully later. Cassettes were always flaky, and you didn't always get a good recording, but that's how we did it before there were discs. Now that modem, let's see, okay, you would get a cable like this, and you'd plug it in back here, and then the other end would have something for the phone line. So you could, it was a 300 bits per second modem built in, which sounds really slow, but back then, to have it built in like this was fantastic, and that's why journalists were always using this. It was, this TRS80 Model 100 was really popular with journalists because they could go and they could type their columns. They could get about 10, 11 pages of text, and then they could use the built-in 300 bit per second, not kilobit per second, 300 bit per second modem to transfer their columns to the main office. So I used to get on Cleveland Freenet with this, and because it was all text-based and character-based, it actually went pretty fast at 300 bits per second. Another thing that was pretty cool ahead of its time was it came with 4 of these little legs. So if you wanted to, instead of laying it flat on your desk or your lap or something, you could plug these legs in, and there's just 4 holes in the back here. And you've got a little table here, which keeps the heat off you. You know, you've got a raised surface there, or what a lot of people would do was just do the back too. And you got a nice slanted surface then to work on. So this is pretty cool. Like I say, great for your journalists traveling around with it, typing in. Okay, the unit's acting kind of finicky now. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it to boot up here again without messing around, but what happens when you boot up? Remember, this is only an 8-line display. So you've got 8 lines up here in this little LCD display here, and it's 40 characters across. So you know, you've got 240 by 64 pixel addressable graphics. That's pretty cool. The screen is not backlit. When you first turn it on, you'll see the items in ROM come up, and you know, this was Microsoft. This was a Bill Gates product. He wrote a lot of the code for this, so you would see in the upper left, you would have a Microsoft Basic 80 programming language, and that's how you did most of your stuff. You had to write your own code or get it from someone else. There's all kinds of stuff for peeks and pokes to let you write some pretty cool basic programs for the Model 100. That was always fun to find out what other people wrote and what you wrote. It also had a terminal program in ROM, real rudimentary address phone book organizer called Address, a simple to-do list organizer, and a very basic text editor. So most of the time you would just, you know, you'd play with some of the built-in stuff, but then you'd write your own basic stuff. And you know, as I look through some of my notes here, I see here's a program I wrote to solve cubic equations. Here's one for monthly payments on loans, and changing periods to commas in data statements. And this program finds if pi or radicals are part of fractions. This program computes pi using the infinite series expansions of 4 arctangent. You know, a lot of stuff. Here was a financial one. You could graph some things, factor a number into a product of primes. You know, when you didn't have applications, you kind of wrote your own and looked for stuff you could. Here's a 12 coins puzzle. What else? Carnival game simulation. You know, real basic stuff, no pun intended. But this is what we had. You know, here's you could enter a circle size and draw concentric circles. You could see who shared a birthday with you. Bouncing ball program, loan managers, all that stuff, prime number generators. So you had to write a lot of basic code, and then you'd save it to the cassette tape, and hopefully that would store so the next time you loaded it up, the program would be available for you. You could store some into the RAM, but there sure wasn't much space. Of course, the code was really tight. I was looking through the old stuff here, the accessories with the TRS80 Model 100. I came across a couple of cassette tapes, I remember, and this one was a lowercase driver. Today, of course, we just take for granted that we're going to have uppercase and lowercase letters available, but built in, all this had was uppercase. You had to actually load a program if you wanted to have lowercase available. So the lowercase driver cassette here was very important. And I also noticed with this in one of my programs here I was storing on this tape is you'll see, okay, from 0 to 45 is a travel program, and 46 to 60 is a metric. I'm sure that's metric conversions. 62 to 72 is a clock program, all that stuff. What we don't realize is, you know, today we use everything as random access. It jumps around like on a CD or DVD or a hard drive. But with a cassette, it's not random. It's serial. It's linear. So you would have a program going from the beginning to an endpoint, and then from that endpoint was the beginning of the next program and all. So to load something, you'd have to have that location in there. Whereas today we just say, you know, we choose a program from a hard drive or a CD or DVD, and we don't have to worry about its exact location like we did back then with cassettes. The main thing with the Model 100 is it was ahead of its time. It was portable. It was it had some nice features like those legs. The screen was decent. You could get 10-11 pages of text. You could connect with the 300 bit per second modem, and you could enter whatever you wanted to of your own basic programs. Like I say, there are a lot of peek and poke locations that were out there from hobbyists that let you do a lot of pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to try to get this thing booted, and if I do, it'll be at the end of this video. Otherwise, that's a look at the TRS80 Model 100, Great Lakes Geek's first portable computer.